Hello, YouTube divers. This is Water Dive 122, and I want to welcome you all to another episode of Magic Metal Mondays. So today we're back at it again with another discography ranking. Today we're going to be looking at the catalog of one of the greatest and most influential and most iconic power metal bands of all time. We're going to be talking about Germany's very own Blind Guardian. So this is a band that I have wanted to do for a very, very long time. This is one of those essential power metal bands, like Halloween, for example, their fellow German colleagues. But yeah, Blind Guardian, responsible for some of the most iconic, classic, and most influential power metal albums you will ever hear. And they're really the ones that really started to embrace like all those Lord of the Rings, wars and battle themes that a lot of current power metal bands follow. Blind Guardian is led by Hansi Kirsch, their lead vocalist, who is one of the best voices in the genre and one of the most iconic singers in the genre. Him, alongside lead guitar player Andre Ulbrook, are the two main songwriters for the band, and yeah, they are perhaps one of the best songwriting duos in all of metal because Blind Guardian really doesn't have a bad song. They really don't, and as you can imagine, they have no bad albums. In fact, Blind Guardian is so good at what they do. Even their worst albums are like 8 out of 10s. That's how good this band is. That's how ridiculously hard this ranking is going to be. We're going to be going through 11 studio albums. I will not be including the Twilight Orchestra album that they did in 2019, Legacy of the Darklands, as that is mainly just an orchestral album that only features Hansi Kirsch, because none of the other band members are present on Legacy of the Darklands, so I don't really classify it as a Blind Guardian studio album. That's just how I view their discography. But every other album presented here is fair game. So let's go ahead and get this party started. So coming in at number 11, we've got the 2006 album, A Twist in the Myth. Now, I think this is generally the consensus least favorite pick for Blind Guardian's discography. This album is usually seen as the punching bag, if you will, of Blind Guardian's discography. And as I said before, Blind Guardian does not have a bad album. They just don't do bad albums. And there's a lot of great songs on A Twist in the Myth. You have This Will Never End, Fly, Carry the Blessed Horn, Lionheart, Skulls and Shadows, which kind of sounds like a Blackmore's Night track if they decided to go full-on metal. The New Order, and then my favorite song on the record has to go to Straight Through the Mirror, which is, in my opinion, one of their best modern songs. Basically, one of their best songs since 2002. I'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, I mean, compared to literally every other album in Blind Guardian's discography, A Twist in the Myth kind of feels a little bit flat. Now, there's a lot of great elements about this album, those standout tracks, plus Hansi's fantastic vocal performance and instrumentation as well. But yeah, I mean, for Blind Guardian standards, this is easily my least favorite Blind Guardian album. But it's still a very good album nonetheless. So with that said, Twist in the Myth comes in here at number 11. Number 10, we've got the follow-up album, 2010's At the Edge of Time. This is basically the same record as The Twist in the Myth. Both these albums are pretty much identical, so I'm going to keep my review of this one brief. But I put this one just a little bit higher than A Twist for the Myth because I feel like there are some more enjoyable tracks on this record. Tracks like Sacred Worlds, a very cool epic song, Tanalorn, Into the Void, Valkyries, Road of No Release, one of their best power ballads. War of the Thrones has some absolutely beautiful piano work. A Voice in the Dark, and then my favorite song is the other epic off this album, the 9 minute long Wheel of Time. This is honestly one of my favorite epics from the band. They don't have a lot of long songs. They mainly started experimenting with longer duration times on later records. Um, and Wheel of Time, in my opinion, is one of the best examples of Blind Guardian embracing that progressive nature, if you will. But yeah, overall, At the Edge of Time, very good album. But again, just like with the Twist and the Myth, for Blind Guardian standards, we're only going to get better from here. So with that said, At the Edge of Time comes in here at number 10. Number 9, we're going to be talking about their most recent album, 2022's The God Machine. Now, I think generally a lot of fans really loved this album. And maybe if I did pay more attention to Blind Guardian in 2022, maybe I would feel the same way. But as a late Blind Guardian bloomer, if you will, this album definitely caught me off guard a little bit. For one thing, I think this album is a little bit too long. It has 9 tracks, but all of them are in the 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 minute range. But needless to say, I mean, this album is also very thrashy. Honestly, this feels more like a thrash metal album than it does a power metal album, if you ask me. And when it comes to Blind Guardian, I want like super fantasy driven, oriented power metal. And the God Machine only has one of those things. It has the fantasy oriented themes, but it's more thrash metal. In my opinion, those elements don't really mix. But there are some really good songs on the album. You have Damnation and Violent Shadows, which show off the band's more thrashier side, and as well as Blood of the Elves. Then you have Life Beyond the Spheres, which kind of calls back to some of their earlier records, like some of their speed metal records they did in the late 80s. And Destiny is a very modern Blind Guardian song, which definitely calls back to A Twist in the Myth and At the Edge of Time. And then my favorite song on the record has to go to Let It Be No More, which is the ballad on this album. And in an album where a majority of the songs are very aggressive thrash metal-esque sounding, having a ballad on the album definitely gives it more variety and makes it a very nice little change of pace, if you will. Let It Be No More is an absolutely gorgeous song, one of their best modern era songs. And Hansi Kirsch's vocal performance is just the icing on the cake. It is fantastic. But yeah, overall, The God Machine, a pretty good album, but like I said so many other times before, we're only going to get better from here. So The God Machine comes in here at number 9. Number 8, this one might be a little bit controversial. We're going back to Follow the Blind from 1989. This is the band's sophomore studio album, and a lot of fans see this as their quote-unquote breakthrough album, if you will. This is still Blind Guardian in their speed metal phase that, for some reason, a lot of these early German power metal bands were experimenting with in the 80s. I still get a lot of early Running Wild and early Halloween vibes from Follow the Blind, but you could start to hear the power metal sound that Blind Guardian would get into on the next albums. But Follow the Blind has 2 classic Blind Guardian songs, Banished from Sanctuary and Valhalla, the latter of which is my favorite song on the album. And of course, it's one of the most iconic Blind Guardian songs of all time. And I love when they play this live, when they get into the chorus, the entire audience sings along with them. It's so amazing. And this also features, speaking of Halloween, this also features Kai Hansen. as well, and his vocal performance is just insane. But yeah, other standout tracks on Follow the Blind have to go to the title track, Fast to Madness, Beyond the Ice, and Hall of the King. All of these songs kind of showcase the best elements of early Blind Guardian. Um, but yeah, overall, Follow the Blind, a very solid sophomore release. Definitely definitely a very good album. So with that said, Follow the Blind comes in here at number 8. Number 7, we are going to their debut album, 1988's rather, Battalions of Fear. This album is just pure, no BS speed metal. This is very much in the vein of Halloween's Walls of Jericho, those first two Running Wild albums, and a lot of aggressive speed metal that was dominating the 80s at the time. I get a lot of early Venom vibes on some of these riffs, and I also get a lot of even early Bathory vibes, early musically speaking, anywho. Um, but it's speedy, it's aggressive, it's fast, but like with Follow the Blind, you can hear a little bit of those epic sounding melodies and choruses that Blind Guardian would eventually be known for. Um, Particularly in the song Majesty, which opens up this album. And again, like with Valhalla, this is one of their most iconic songs, and really this is the one song from this album that they continue to play live. You have Guardian of the Blind, the title track, the Martyr, and then my favorite song on the album has to go to Wizard's Crown. I think this is honestly one of the band's most overlooked songs. I really like Wizard's Crown, if anything, for Hansi's amazing vocal performance on here. But yeah, overall, Battalions of Fear, a very solid debut album. Really can't go wrong with it. So yeah, now we're moving on to number 6. And from here on out, all of these records are pretty much flawless. But yeah, we're going to get into them. So number 6, we have the 2015 album, Beyond the Red Mirror. This is easily, no debate, Blind Guardian's best modern album. Basically their best album since A Night at the Opera, if you will. Beyond the Red Mirror, I cannot stress just how good this album is. Yes, some of the songs do feel a little bit on the long side. I feel like there could have been a little bit of fat cut off of some of these songs, but as it stands, this album is just so good. You have Miracle Machine, which is a fantastic shorter ballad. The album is also bookended with 2 amazing 9.5-minute epic songs, The Ninth Wave to open it up and Grand Parade to close it. Both songs are among the band's best epic songs. Absolutely amazing stuff on both tracks. Then you have Prophecies, which is a fantastic little power metal rager. At the Edge of Time has a really nice rhythm to it. It kind of feels like one of those waltzy dance tunes, like some of those Celtic dance songs. Then you have The Holy Grail, which is fantastic. And then 2 of the best Blind Guardian songs of all time are on this album. You have Distant Memories, which honestly might have Hansi's best vocal performance since A Night at the Opera. And then Ashes of Eternity, which is actually one of the very first Blind Guardian songs I've ever heard. And I just love how dark and heavy and unforgiving that song is. It is such an amazing song. Beyond the Red Mirror, a fantastic modern day power metal album. And in my opinion, it's the best album they've made since A Night at the Opera. So yeah, Beyond the Red Mirror comes in here at number 6. Now we get into the top 5, and these are all what I consider to be the classic era of Blind Guardian. All of these albums are just hit after hit after hit after hit. So let's get into them. So So number 5 is Tales from the Twilight World from 1990. This is the band's third studio album, and if Follow the Blind didn't already break them out, Tales from the Twilight World absolutely did. All of the Lord of the Rings influences, all of the epic sounding melodies, all of the, well, power metal elements really starts to show up on this record. You get a lot less, there's still some flares of the speed metal that they had on their first 2 albums, but make no mistake, Tales from the Twilight World is just an all-killer, no-filler European power metal album through and through. A lot of the band's standout tracks are on here. You have Welcome to Dying, Lost in the Twilight Hall, and Lord of the Rings. All 3 of these tracks are Blind Guardian staples, as is Traveler in Time as well. Then you have Goodbye My Friend, which is a very heavy song. I really enjoyed that one. But then my favorite song goes to the closing track and one of the most underrated and underappreciated Blind Guardian tracks of all time, The Last Candle. Honestly, I think this is one of the band's best songs. Yeah, you heard it here first. Yeah, you can't get more early Blind Guardian than The Last Candle. You just can't. And that's just what makes it special. The Last Candle, fantastic song. Tales from the Twilight World, fantastic European power metal album. And it's flawless, but it's only here at number 5. What is going on? That should just be a testament to just how good Blind Guardian is. So, let's continue on, shall we? So number 5 is Tales from the Twilight World. Coming in at number 4, we have one of the most classic power metal albums of all time, Imaginations from the Other Side from 1995. Yeah, this is another classic masterpiece tier power metal album. There's really nothing more that I can say. If you're a power metal fan, then you pretty much know how good this album is. Like with Tales from the Twilight World, a lot of their standout tracks are on this record. You have the title track, A Past and Future Secret, Born in the Morning Hall, Script for My Requiem, and The Story Ends, a very nice little mini epic. And then 2 of the best Blind Guardian songs of all time, Another Holy War and Mordred's Song, the latter of which is my favorite song on this album and a top 5 Blind Guardian song for me. I love Mordred's Song. It's fantastic. It's so gorgeous. But yeah, I mean, there's really not much else I could say. Imaginations from the Other Side is an absolute classic power metal album. And if you haven't heard it, get onto it. This is really an essential power metal album. So yeah, Imaginations from the Other Side comes in here at number 4. Now, number 3, this is the 2002 album, A Night at the Opera. So a lot of people say that this is the end of Blind Guardian's classic run of flawless albums. Some people say that it's more in the vein of some of their modern albums. And for that, I kind of view A Night at the Opera as a bridge album between the 80s and 90s power metal, speed metal sound to the experimental sound styles that they would experiment on with their later albums. But make no mistake, A Night at the Opera is just Blind Guardian at their most majestic, their most epic, and their most unapologetic. And I mean, this is pretty much where they peaked, in my opinion. Hansi Kirsch, probably his best vocal performances on this album. I don't know, but he sounds absolutely insane on this album. And of course, this album contains the 14-minute long And Then There Is Silence, Blind Guardian's longest song, and this is another one of the greatest power metal epic songs of all time. Basically telling the story of the Trojan War. This song is a masterpiece. But the whole album itself is a masterpiece. You have The Maiden and the Minstrel Night, Age of False Innocence, one of their best power ballads, Precious Jerusalem, And then three amazing songs: Battlefield, Wait for an Answer, and Under the Ice, the latter of which is my favorite song from the album, and another song that's a top 10 Blind Guardian song of all time. I mean, mainly just for that chorus alone. It's probably their most epic sounding chorus they've ever written. Under the Ice is a masterpiece. This whole album is a masterpiece. A Night at the Opera, it's completely flawless. Love this album. But it's only here number 3. So let's move on, shall we? All right, so number 2 and number 1. Two of the most well-beloved and iconic power metal albums ever made. So this one's going to hurt, but let's rip the Band-Aid off, shall we? So number 2 is Somewhere Far Beyond from 1992. Now this is where all of the speed metal from the first 3 albums or so is completely stripped down, and now Blind Guardian is totally all aboard the power metal train. This is very much a European power metal album, and it's all killer, no filler the entire way through. This album is mainly famous for having one of the band's most standout songs, which is the Bard song, both in The Forest and The Hobbit, the former of which is probably the band's most popular song, and for good reason. The Bard song, both versions are masterpieces. Then you have Journey Through the Dark, The Quest for Tanalorn, Ashes to Ashes, the 7.5-minute epic title track, and then the opening track, Time What Is Time. One of my favorite Blind Guardian songs of all time. Time What Is Time is a masterpiece. Somewhere Far Beyond, masterpiece of a power metal album. What more do you want me to say? It comes in here number 2. And so now we have finally reached it. Number 1, Process of Elimination. If you're a Blind Guardian fan, then you know what album is left. And that is the 1998 album, Nightfall in Middle Earth. What can I say about this album that literally any other power metal, symphonic metal fan, or whoever has already said about it? This is another one of the most iconic albums in the genre. This album is just hit after hit after hit after hit. So many iconic songs are on here. You have Time Stands Still at the Iron Hill, which is fantastic. Into the Storm is, in my opinion, one of their more overlooked songs, if you will, or at least in the context of this album. Thorn is a really nice mini epic of theirs. Then you have Mirror Mirror, which is one of their most iconic songs, and has probably the best chorus they've ever written. Under the Ice from A Night at the Opera is kind of the other competitor there. Same thing with Time What Is Time from Somewhere Far Beyond. But yeah, Mirror Mirror, like with Valhalla, everyone knows this song, and everyone sings along with this song every time Blind Guardian plays it live. It's just a great song. The Curse of the Finner is a fantastic song. Nolder, Dead Winter Rains is absolutely incredible. Blood Tears is another one of the band's staples, another fan favorite for good reason. This is probably my favorite power ballad-esque song of theirs. But then, we all know why we're here. My favorite Blind Guardian song of all time, and probably the first Blind Guardian song I've ever heard, Nightfall. You want to talk about everything that Blind Guardian is about: Lord of the Rings influences, power metal wankery, if you will. Majestic vocals, amazing storytelling. Literally everything Blind Guardian is about is in this one song, Nightfall. It is a masterpiece of a song. It's my favorite Blind Guardian song. And Nightfall in Middle Earth is just a masterpiece of a power metal album. You cannot get more Blind Guardian than this. Honest to God. And if you're a power metal fan or symphonic metal fan, you have not heard this album, get on it. I am still ashamed of myself for taking this long to finally sit down and listen to this absolutely classic power metal album. But yeah, overall, Nightfall, Middle Earth, flawless masterpiece. It's my favorite Blind Guardian album. So yeah, with that said, that concludes this edition of Magic Metal Mondays. Thank you so much for watching, my fellow YouTube divers. This is Water Dive 122 signing out, ready to dive into more fun on YouTube. Thanks for watching.